Give me something.
Indians scattered on Don's highway bleeding.
Oh, yeah. Ghost crowd, the child's fragile eggshell mind.
Yeah, good. Jeez. I'm glad you knew that, Tom.
Of course I did.
Quack.
Welcome back to Beyond the Blind, a Tom Ozone podcast, joined today by Maine hunting legend Rick Labbe and Messalonsky fellow alum.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing
That's
great.
a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I love the story that you told about Mr. Matheson on your True North podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well, Brandy Matheson, my principal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a good man. He was a hunter and I was a hunter, and you couldn't keep me in school in hunting season, you know. And so I missed a lot of school. So every chance I'd miss school, he'd come on the intercom and call me down to the class. Is Mr. Labbe there? And sometimes I wouldn't show up for a week straight, right? Especially if we had snow every day, because I was tracking deer. So and he'd call me down to the office, and I'd walk in. He'd say, "Close the door." And we'd just tell deer stories. He wanted to know how many bucks I tracked and how many I shot and whatever, the whole week. And when I got done, he'd say, "Remember, this is just between you and I." He says, "As far as everybody else is concerned, you got detention." And everybody thought it was funny. I never went to any detention.
Yeah, right.
But, man, what a principal he was. I mean, the good old days.
I remember Mr. Matheson when I went on my first moose hunt. I was a sophomore, so I had to get a week off, you know, I have to make up my classes and stuff. He's like, "Well, what are you doing?" "I'm going moose hunting." He's like, "Well, I better get some steaks."
Right. That was part of the deal with me. And I'll tell another little story. So my senior year, I missed the entire month of November. True story. The entire month. And it snowed almost every day. And so back up a little bit. Being my senior year, I think my dad knew that probably be the last year we'd get to hunt together all the time, right? Because so he knew that, and it snowed pretty near every day, and we hunted together every day. And so my mother would write me a note, and she'd say, "I'm not going to lie for you." So she'd write a note and say, "Please excuse Rick, he's got a fever." So right. So I finally get back to school, and they called. I was in Mr. Brown's class. You remember Mr. Brown?
Yeah, of course.
Well,
yeah.
I can remember it clearly. I'm sitting in Mr. Brown's class, and everybody's in there. And Mr. Brown says, "Yeah, we got a new student coming today in class here." It was me. And then Mr. Matheson comes on. Mr. Labbe in there. Yeah, he's sitting right here. He's sitting right down my office. He was real stern. And so I walk into his office, and remember how he wore those reading glasses?
Yeah.
I walk in, he's sitting there. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
300, 350. Big guy. He filled the wool jacket out.
Yeah.
So I walk in, he's got those glasses down here, and he's got all them notes, like 20 of them, laid out on his desk that my mother had written. Every one of them. Takes his glasses, he looks at me, sit down. He said, "You want to tell me the meaning of all these?" I said, "I had a fever." And he says, "The only fever you had was buck fever." And I said, "You're right." And he goes, "I will expect a box of tenderloin in my Land Cruiser in the morning." I brought him a box of tenderloin, all cut and wrapped. So
He was great.
oh, man, he was great.
Yeah, that story just brought back some memories.
And Stan Caban. Always had to tell Stan the stories.
Oh, yeah, for sure. In IA. I remember one time Mr. Matheson came down. It was a drafting class. Was between metal shop and wood shop. He had that drafting room, and he pounded the table so hard that it came up and hit the dude on the other side of me in the chin. Well, it was a Duffy, so you understand why.
Yeah, I know. We all knew.
Yeah. He was coming down there for a reason, but
Sounds to me like Rick needed a suspension back then.
All that time I missed school, and I never wanted to be there. It never hurt me a bit in life.
no.
I couldn't wait to get out of there and just start my own business and all the adventures I wanted to do, and I did them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the business that you chose
It was
to
perfect.
do, yeah, right. I mean,
Yeah.
it fits into your lifestyle now, right? I
Perfect.
mean,
Yeah.
it's a seasonal job.
Couldn't have been better. Yeah. I was in the excavation business, and I kind of got started in that by accident. My wife's grandfather's name was Bernie Merrill, and he had an old bulldozer and an old loader and a dump truck and stuff. And so he gave my wife and I a piece of land over there where my house is now. He gave us 2 or 4 acres to start with, and we got that old dozer running and the dump truck and the loader, and I built my driveway, and believe it or not, I dug my foundation with a loader and the dozer, and I kind of liked it, and then I bought a backhoe and just went on my own. Yeah, and that's how I got started.
And your winters are free.
Winters have always been free. I never plowed. I always thought plowing snow was kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So I'd work hard all summer and play all winter, hunt and ice fish, snowmobile, look for sheds. You know, did a lot of mountain climbing. Rode a lot out west too. I'd go out west and ride mountains out there. I got a camp in Wyoming I own.
Amazing.
And yeah, cabin I bought out there, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah. Love it out there. Can't get enough of it.
Where are you in Wyoming?
I'm in Boulder, Wyoming. Most people only heard of Boulder, Colorado. Boulder, Wyoming's got a population of 90. Might be 91 now.
With you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm up in the mountains in the Wind River mountain range. So it's a 2-hour ride for me when I fly in and land and jump in my truck. In 2 hours, I'm at my cabin.
Wind River. Wind River was a great movie.
Yes, that they made that movie over the backside of the mountains from me, directly over in Landa. Yeah, it's right across the mountain range from me.
Yeah.
I spent a winter in Rock Springs working in the oil fields before I went to graduate school.
Oh, no kidding.
And what a rough town that was. I tell
Yeah.
you leave your lunchbox in the pickup truck on the side of the road for half an hour and it's gone. I mean, I had all the tools from my company in the back of my truck, and I'm from Maine, and I didn't lock anything up, and
Yeah.
went into a party, had 2 or 3 beers, went out. My truck was just totally, there was nothing left in it. And, people were shooting each other left and right in Rock Springs.
Nice.
Just like an old Western movie.
It
huh?
was. It was rough. Well, I remember
That's why I like it.
Yeah, that's right.
they built housing for the oil field trash, me included.
Yeah.
And walls were just nothing but sheetrock. And somebody fired a 357 that went through about 9 rooms before it left the building, and nobody got killed, thankfully. But boy, what a rough place that was.
Yeah.
But I do and the Wind River. Every mountain man story you ever read about.
Yep.
they
Wind
mention-
River Mountains.
They
So
mention the Wind River.
So you know
Oh,
where I'm at.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, that's where I elk hunt.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, so we'll go out there, and I've been doing it, I don't know, 21, 22 years now. This fellow from North Anson, Maine here, named Barry Luce. You know the Luces? No?
From the logging looses?
Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
I sure
so-
do. Yeah.
My friend Barry there, Barry'd be 75 this year, 76. He still comes out and hunts with me every year. And about 20 years ago, he took me out there, and that's how I'd elk hunted a lot of other states, and I'd never hunted Wyoming.
Yeah.
And he said, "You got to come to Wyoming, Rick. He says, "You'll never go anywhere else once you come to Wyoming." And he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But it's getting tough to draw tags now, and so I have to apply for other places and kind of swap them out to be able to do it every year. I'll buy points in Colorado, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. And I'll rotate around, and I kind of use my cabin as a base camp. So I'll fly in, if I draw an Idaho tag or whatever, and I'll load my wall tent, my side-by-side, all my gear, and I usually get 2 or 3 other guys we'll put in as a group. So we're kind of on rotation with all of my buddies. And so we'll go from one place to the other every year.
you stole our first accomplished and reliable sea captain, Timmy Williams.
I did. Timmy. Yes, I did. Yeah.
He used to be our captain when we would first go out sea ducking because he was
Yeah.
a scallop diver and all that. He knew his way.
Right,
He knew
right.
He
his-
did the urchins and the
I forgot he
scallops
did
and-
that. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Now he works for Mark Weeks drilling wells.
Yeah, well, he has
Oh,
for a very long
good for
time
him.
now.
Good
Yeah,
for
Yeah, 20
for-
years or so, 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
that's where we reconnected at Timmy's place. But our first few years sea ducking, Timmy was our
He was your guy.
reliable.
He was your man.
Yeah, he was our boat captain.
Yeah.
And then once he started splitting and going elk hunting with you, then I had to run the goddamn boat.
Lost another duck, I see.
know. I know.
Yeah, that's the way it happens. Yeah, I've never duck hunted with Timmy.
He used to do the first Stonington trips when we were first going to Stonington,
Yeah.
staying on Deer Isle.
I
and all
remember that now. I
Yeah.
remember him talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we used to run two boats. I would run one, and he would run the other
Sure.
eventually. But when we first started going out, he was the one that ran the boat because, you know,
Yeah, that's where you and I first connected was at one of Timmy's parties.
Yeah.
About 20 years ago, right?
right? Yeah, because in high school you were, I don't know, were you a senior or a junior when I was a freshman?
Yeah.
He
yeah.
wouldn't have talked to you.
No.
No.
No, well, no,
Fellow hunter, we would have.
Yeah, that's the
Maybe,
thing, you know.
maybe.
Yeah, us
Yeah.
outdoor guys, because we
Yeah.
would keep our gun. You could. That's when you could keep your gun in the truck.
Oh,
Took it
yeah.
on a school bus.
Yeah.
We used to bring it on a bus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
I always had a gun in the truck.
My buddy Sandy Mosier Sandy used to bring his gun on the bus with a
Yeah.
box of shells. The bus driver would set it behind him,
Right behind him.
set the shells down on the
Yeah.
console, give it to him, let him off 2-3 miles from his house at night, and Sandy'd hunt his way home.
My God.
Yeah.
I mean, now you can't even pick up your kid with a gun in the goddamn truck.
No.
No.
You know,
No.
right? It can't be on the property. I
Can't
mean,
even
that's
be
when
on
we
school
all had it.
grounds.
I mean,
Right.
everybody had a gun rack in their pickup.
Right.
Everybody. Yeah.
You know? So-
Yeah, and you displayed them proudly.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got for rifle there? What are you running for shotgun? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. So yes, the outdoors
Yeah.
folks always did congregate. That's for sure. But all right. So you're known for deer tracking, right? I mean, that's what you're known for. Is
Yeah.
that how you started hunting?
Not really. I mean, when I was 8, 9 years old, my grandfather wasn't there was no trackers in my family. And so how I really got started hunting, you remember Dick Drysdale?
Yeah.
Nancy Drysdale?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So Dick Drysdale and his wife moved to Maine when I was 7 years old. And they were in Blake's Hardware. Dick was one day, and my grandfather happened to be in there. And my grandfather's in there getting some parts, and he overheard Dick asking Bob Blake if there was any camps or anything for rent around, because he just moved from Texas with his wife and was looking for a place to rent. My grandfather walked over and he said, where you from? He says, Texas, San Marcos. And my grandfather says, well, my wife's from Texas. He says, I got a camp next door you can rent. So Dick and Nancy moved in next to my grandparents, and they both became school teachers. Dick was in Winslow, and Nancy was home ec teacher in Meslonsky, right? And they lived with my grandparents for better part of a year, maybe 2. And when it got too cold in that camp, my grandparents said, move upstairs in the house, and they did. And that's the way it was back then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dick, he had a blue tick hound named Max. He had another black and tan named Smokey. And he didn't know anybody. And he asked me, he says, you want to go coon hunting with me? And I said, yeah. Yeah, I think I'd like to do that, because I had a rabbit hound. I loved hounds from the time I was just a kid. So I started coon hunting with Dick. And I'd be the guy, 7, 8 years old. I was climbing 100-foot pine trees at night, shooting them out with a 22 pistol. And he'd say, whatever you do, don't tell your mother. So
Great story.
I grew up most of my life, every single year hunting coon with Dick. And then we hunted bobcats all winter long. And we'd hunt, back then you could run bear in the spring with hounds. We used to go up and hunt with Sonny Wade. And it's funny how, I'll explain in a minute how everything comes full circle. So we used to go up and hunt with Sonny Wade up out of Moscow, Bingham, at what's now Pine Grove Lodge. And,
Bob House place.
Yeah, Bob House.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, sure.
And now here it is, 55 years later. I'm up there doing seminars with Lanny Benoit at Pine Grove Lodge, where I started hunting with Dick Drysdale 55 years ago.
Amazing.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And the other thing is, from the time I was just a little kid, Lanny was always my idol. You know, he was the best deer tracker ever lived. Always will be in my eyes. And, you know, I used to run into him on the road. He'd pick me up walking once I got older on the Spencer Road and stuff. And I get a lot of stories about Lanny, and I always idolized him. And he was always, unlike everybody else, he was always eager to give you information. You know, he'd always tell you what you were doing wrong or how to kill a certain buck or whatever. And nobody ever did that really. And so I really idolized Lanny a lot. And then, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I see him at Huntstock down in Massachusetts.
That's pretty big.
Big
yeah.
outdoor show,
Yeah, yeah.
So I was down there doing seminars, and I ran into Lanny. We hadn't seen each other in like 25 years. So we started talking and all that. And I called him up a couple of years ago at the Sportsman Show. I had a seminar, and I had an idea in my head. I said, because Lanny had his dad passed away and his brother passed away, right? And he had lost some family members, and he kind of stopped with, you know, he kind of lost track of it for a while there. It was quite a period. So I called him. I said, hey, you want to come over and do a seminar with me at the Sportsman Show? And he said, yeah, I'd like that. So he drove in a snowstorm 5.5 hours, left at 4:30 in the morning to get to that Sportsman Show that morning and did a seminar with me. We packed the place.
Nice.
I mean, there was people standing right outside the door. So ever since that day, we've been doing all our seminars together and having a good time.
Sounds great.
Yeah. He's 80,
Yeah.
right? He's not going to go track a deer 10 miles anymore. I think he could, if we got on the right one, he could kill one in 3 or 4 miles, no problem.
Wow.
But I told him the other day, I said, I'm going to get on one and wear it down for a day or two. And I says, then when he crosses a road, I'm going to have you come over and jump on his track. And you'll get him.
There you
So
go.
he says, that's a good idea.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just did a deer tracking school. We had 3 of them in a row with me and Lanny and Timmy Baldick and Glenn Bombardia, all part of our tracking team. And we did 3 schools up at Pine Grove Lodge. We just finished the last one last weekend.
Tracking, it kind of doesn't really go with guiding, right?
Not really. When I used to guide deer hunters, I had a camp on Ironbound Pond up there in Solon, right? I think it's called Wentworth Pond on the map. And so we had a camp on Ironbound Pond growing up, and my grandfather was, how we acquired that camp, my grandfather was sitting in a restaurant in Skowhegan having breakfast with his cousin Jake. And Jake lived in Skowhegan, so every now and then he'd go up there and have breakfast with him. And he overheard the guy behind him saying he was going to lose his place on the lake because he couldn't afford the taxes. And so my grandfather turned around and he says, what do you owe on it? He says, $350. He says, well, I'll give you $400 cash and sign it over to me. You got $50 in your pocket. Well, back then, $50 was probably like $1,000 now. This was back in the 60s, right? So that's how we ended up with that campsite unseen. They walked over the bank. So we got that camp. It was an old tar paper shack at the time. We used it for years, had more fun in that old camp than we did in the new one.
So you grew up hunting just about everything. I mean, you talk about hunting coons. When I first moved to Maine, my dad's friends, when we moved here, were coon hunters. We got a black and tan, and I mean that was it seemed like the thing in the 80s around here.
Oh yeah,
we did a lot of coon hunting.
A lot of guys coon hunted back then. Be tough to do now.
Yeah,
So much posted land, and everything.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a lot more coons back then. I bought my first. You remember in high school I had a '69 Ford Bronco, that red and white one.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish I still had it. but-
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I had a Scout. I had a '69 Scout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that Scout
Yeah.
you had. Yeah.
Yeah.
And So anyway, I bought that Ford Bronco with coon hides.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's how I paid for it. You couldn't do that now.
Nobody would understand that today.
They wouldn't.
No way.
But I mean, a blanket coon back then was $40. You know?
$40.
Yeah, that'd be like $400 in today's world.
Right.
I just read that hide sale report the other day. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe how little that stuff brings these
I know.
days. No wonder nobody does it.
Yeah.
I
know,
it's
it's
just
it.
not
Yeah,
worth
it's like
your
$10 for.
$5 for this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's not really. You got to love it to do it.
Yeah.
It's got to be a hobby.
So you're a dog guy, but you're a hound guy now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're bird dog guys, but you're
Right.
but you know it's similar. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a tool that
Absolutely. Yeah. And once you're a hound guy, you'll always be a hound guy. I put it this way: I've taken some guys before, and it's too much work for them. You either love it or hate it, right?
Yeah.
And some guys never come back again, and other guys can't get enough. And and it's the same thing with tracking deer. I've taken a lot of guys over the years, and I've actually had guys that beg me to go to camp and learn how to track deer with me. And I've taken a lot of guys over the years, and those same guys are still coming, still going with me. I've had other guys come one time. I'd go back to camp that night. All their shit was packed up. Note on the counter. This ain't for me.
No.
See you later.
You can sniff them out, though. You know.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you do coyotes or what?
I ran coyotes, Tom, for from about 2000 till about 2016, 17. I ran coyotes with hounds. And how I get into that was, and I was one of the first guys in the state, and a lot of the coyote hunters now were guys that I took years ago that ended up with their own hounds. And believe it or not, now I'm the old guy. So, but when our deer population decimated there, when we had some real hard winters, like 2001 and then 2006 or 7, we really lost our deer herds. I mean, up north it was gone. Mm-hmm. So that's how I ended up getting the hounds, and we started killing off coyotes out of the yards. And we just target the yards just constantly. We'd go to the Forks, then to Chapman, then over to Moosehead, and we'd rotate about every 2 days. We'd go kill 3 or 4 and 3 or 4 and 3 or 4. By the time you'd come back, 3 or 4 more moved right in.
Well, now it's turkey season here, and
It is.
This is the gentleman right here who you can thank for having turkeys in the state of Maine with the reintroduction project.
Certainly not single-handedly. There was a few of us.
How many years ago was that?
Well,
Brad?
in 77 was the first birds that came into Maine, but then until about the mid-'80s that I was involved, we brought 111 turkeys into Maine from out of state.
Yeah.
And we think we now have 60,000 from
Yeah.
those 111 birds.
Wow.
So some farmers don't like them, but I like them.
Yeah, I like hunting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fun to have around.
In my opinion, turkey hunting is one of the best sports to get a kid into because
I agree 100%.
the number one, because there's so much action that it keeps their attention span. Yeah. From right in the morning when you step out of the truck and you get that gobble, and then you sneak in and you set up, and then it's gobbling all the time. Just a kid's attention. Every kid I've ever taken just loves it. It's got them into hunting.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I've got my own line of turkey calls too with nor'easter game calls. So
And they seem to be great, right?
they're a great call. Yeah, I wouldn't have my name on them if they weren't.
Yeah.
But they're a great call. Yeah, and
What's the name of the guy? Northeast?
nor'easter game calls.
Nor'easter.
Yeah, it's Mark Buzzle.
Yeah.
And
I talked to him at the Sportsman Show.
yeah, yes, correct. Mark was beside me.
And Ethan, his buddy
Yeah,
Ethan, who
Ethan
works there
Bullbar.
with him.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who's got his own YouTube channel and stuff like that.
Yeah,
In the Blind, close to
Oh, in the
ours.
Blind.
Yeah,
Yes.
in the Blind. Yeah.
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 Ethan's great. I turkey hunted with him last week. We might have called in the hen. Never saw her, Tom.
No.
Yeah.
What's your preference for calls? Slates, box calls?
Oh, probably slate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love those.
We got a thin series we make that really sounds real good. And,
Nice.
But there's nothing like a box call when you step out of the truck in the morning before daylight and you hit that. And I mean, quarter of a mile away on a clear morning, just and you get a gobble, and yeah,
As good as it gets.
it is, yeah.
All right, let me put up a picture, which again, as I discovered your whole outdoor universe on the internet, this is the picture that I was like,
my.
holy.
That's impressive.
Jeez.
That's a wow.
So tell us a little bit about this picture.
Yeah, so that's all the big bucks I've had mounted over the years, probably the most memorable ones. And there's a lot of bucks that are on the racks on the ground also that weighed over 200 that I didn't have mounted, but they were respectable deer. And I've hunted 20 states, including Alaska, in every province in Canada except Northwest Territories. I've hunted deer, white-tailed deer. So I've hunted last year I killed 6 bucks total between Canada and all the U.S. states.
Yeah.
And all 6 of them are over 200 pounds. So
are you still getting them mounted?
I had a few of them mounted. I told my wife, I says, I'm all done a few years ago. I keep mounting them. But
How many are there? Do you know? What's the number there? I mean, I don't want to count it. What is?
I don't know.
6,
I
8,
think-
10, 12,
I think
14.
it's-
There's got to be like 80 there, right?
yeah, there's 80
Plus the
something
racks on
plus
the
the racks. I think there's 93 or 4 or something like that total. But yeah, I killed a lot more than that. But those are the big ones,
Yeah. So what determines when you're going to get it mounted?
Oh, I don't know. The story,
Yeah,
the memory
right.
behind it.
Yeah, not
Kinda.
not necessarily the physical attributes
Yeah.
of it, right? It's
Yeah.
the situation. And,
Yeah. I'll explain the story to you. So 2 years ago, I went to Nebraska, and I got a place I hunt in Nebraska with this guy. He's a rancher, and he's got 10,000 acres he owns in Nebraska. And he's a cattle rancher. And he was advertising for these hunts, and he doesn't take many people. And so I called him up, talked to him. I said, yeah, I kind of like to do my own thing. I don't really like sitting in the blind, and I kind of like to ride around, and I like to spot and stalk. And we talked for a while, and he goes, yeah, I think it would work out pretty good. So I ended up going to Nebraska, and his name's Jake, and Jake Stoner. And we kind of hit it off together. This was 7-8 years ago. And ended up going back in mule deer season and hunting muleys every year with my wife. Nancy loves going out there, and she gets a big muley every year. 2 years ago, I went out and I shot a 203-inch whitetail. Had a third beam coming out of the middle of his head.
Jeez.
21 points. Just beautiful buck, right? Buck of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And, but coming home, I tracked down a buck. Took me 2 days on snow to kill him, and probably scored 138 inches or something, right? Big, heavy 8-pointer. That buck that I tracked down on snow means way more to me when I look at it on the wall because of that whole story and how hard I worked to kill that deer. And until somebody tracks a deer down, spends a day in his life, and sweats all day long because there's no quit, and actually puts the effort and the time in to do that, and then get good at it. You outsmart that buck, and there's a lot of tricks to tracking, and which that's what we teach in the schools and stuff, and in my seminars. And but those deer that I've tracked down really mean more to me, so I get most of those mounted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, it's such a great story behind every one of them. Yeah.
Now, when you're heading out on a track, what do you bring with you?
Believe it or not, I don't bring very much. I go pretty light, and you have to go light. But the one key thing I've found as I've gotten older, like when I was in my 40s and less, I could get away with bringing a couple candy bars all day, and I just drink water out of these mountain springs coming out of the top of the mountains. And I never caught giardia in my life, and I was always very careful on the water I drank out of, right? I knew where it originated and came from. So, but about 7-8 years ago, I started carrying this water bottle that weighs just ounces, and it's called the Grail Press. And you can literally pull this thing apart, dip it in a mud puddle, hold your knee and 2 thumbs on it on the ground. Takes about 30 seconds. It filters that water 99.99% filtered. You might as well say it's 100.
Yeah.
And I carry these little electrolyte packs.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, it's like recharging a battery.
Nice.
It's the same thing. Within 10 minutes, I feel like I just stepped out of the truck. And I'll drink 2 of those electrolyte packs a day when I'm tracking. I'm really pushing hard and you know, sweat's rolling off you all day long on a buck, just trying to catch him sometimes. And, you know, that really helps a lot. So anybody that hasn't tried that, Grail, Grayl, Grail Press. Yeah.
Nice.
They're like $159 or whatever. Well worth it, every penny of it. And so I carry that empty in my coat. Maybe a peanut butter sandwich, a couple candy bars, 2 Bic lighters, and that's about it.
So do you still think you can do all the stuff that you used to do?
Absolutely. I had a couple of cameramen this year that I wore out, 30-year-olds, and tracking deer. And I come back at the end of the day, and the guys go, "Yeah, you burned out another cameraman, Rick." And I said, "Well, I was trying to go slow.
Yeah.
I was trying to go easy. I wasn't like pushing the guy, you know." But he got out of the truck and he had on a set of insulated coveralls and his big knapsack and his camera gear and a big jacket. I said, "You don't need all that gear." I said, "You're gonna be sweating in 10 minutes." "Oh no." He says, "I'm good." And I said, "Are you warm right now?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "You want to be cold right now?"
There's your
I said,
problem.
"We're gonna walk. We're going walking all day. We're going up the side of a mountain." And there was a big buck up there. I had jumped him the day before, and I found like 5 of his beds. And I knew he was going to bed there again that night. I said, "We're going to go jump that buck in the morning. We're going to get on his track. We're going to follow him around. And I'm going to try to get you on camera, and we're going to shoot him." This was down in Massachusetts. It was that stock hunt that Pat lined up with me and Lanny. And so sure enough, 10 minutes out of the truck, I look back. Cameraman's taking his jacket off. So he straps that on his pack. That was packs this big.
Yeah.
I said, "You want to just go back to the truck? I'll wait right here. Take all that clothes off." "No, I'm good." "All right." 30 minutes later, he was on his knees and he was throwing up. So that was it. He went back to the truck.
Absolutely.
You never saw him again. I never really knew why I was such a good deer tracker, and it's mainly because I could go all day and I loved it. You know, it's like chasing hounds, bobcats on a track or something on a pair of snowshoes. Some people think of that as work. I think of it as enjoyment. You know, that's what I love to do. I love to be on a pair of snowshoes with a hound ahead of me chasing the cat, and some days you don't even catch up with them, but when you do, it's well worth it. It's just one of those days you never forget. And you only got so many of those days in your life, because when you look back, there's very few days that you remember that were just great days. In the beginning of those days, you never knew that was going to happen, right? So every day's an adventure. You don't know what it's going to lead into. It could lead into a memory of something forever. So I think back to when I was a kid, and when I was 13 years old. Do you remember the boar scenes that lived on the pond road?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
So Arnie Borsine, remember, he was an antique dealer.
Yep.
He lived up the road from my house there, and Mom and Dad knew him and stuff. And he was a cross-country skier when he was younger. So when he came to Maine, he said, "I want to start a cross-country ski team." So he asked me, he says, "I want you to be on my cross-country ski team, Rick." I'd never cross-country skied in my life. I said, "Yeah, sounds kind of fun, right?" And so I was 13. I got a set of skis, and I started racing around the state of the Maine, and I rode with him every weekend. And I come in first place in the entire state of Maine. I was #1 skier. And I was 3rd in New England, and I made the Junior Olympics in Lake Placid, New York.
Wow.
13 years old. And didn't mean much to me then, because you're 13 years old, you don't there was no TV. We didn't hardly watch TV in our house and stuff like that, right? Mom and Dad were pretty poor back then. We lived in this old camp down on the lake, and so they couldn't afford, when I made the Junior Olympics, they couldn't afford to take me. Well, Arnie couldn't go because something to do with work. He sold antiques for a living, and he couldn't take me to Lake Placid. And so he says, well, I got this family lined up to give you a ride. So anyway, I didn't end up going. Mom didn't want me to go. She didn't know the people. She goes, no, you're not going. And so I sold my skis, never skied again, right? Never cross-country skied again in the rest of my life. But I think back at 13 years old, and I was the shortest guy on the cross-country ski team. There was kids 6 inches, a foot taller than me, and we'd all take right off. Everything was timed, you know. And I just passed these guys on every hill. And it was every track was 7 kilometers. I can still remember it was 7-kilometer races. That was the track length that we had to race. And I'd pass every one of these guys because I just had wicked stamina, wicked endurance my whole life. And I never realized that till I got older. And I look back and I go, damn, I was, I had way more stamina back then than the average kid. So I think that's why I just loved a deer track so much, is because I could just walk on that track and just keep doing it all day long. And, and I got better and better at it. And then I started figuring out those bucks, started reading the track, how to pay attention to what they're doing. It's just like a book, and they'll tell you what they're doing if you know what to look for and when to slow down, when to speed up, when to go. You got to catch up with them sometimes. Some bucks you never catch up with. They're on a mission, and you might not catch up with them all day. But anyway, I look back, and
that's why you're able to do what you do. Yeah,
absolutely.
You're a physical specimen.
I wouldn't last 100
What about
yards.
us? I see we're not going to be invited.
No.
No.
Not
You
on,
guys-
not
you
on a
guys
hound
want-
hunt.
We're better setters than we are trackers.
well, that's okay. We need sitters.
That's right.
And I tell you what else a tracker needs. We need drivers.
Yeah.
Lanny and I talked about that. He goes, every good tracker, Rick, needs a driver.
Yeah, right.
Guy to pick you up at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right.
12
Yeah.
miles away.
Yeah, right.
That'd be good for us.
Yeah. Do you still bird hunt at all, or
No.
duck hunt at all, or no?
I don't. No. See, when I started my own business, it requires so much amount of time to make a certain amount of money to get me through the year. So I had to basically channel what I was going to do for hobbies.
Yeah.
And I found out I couldn't do them all because it just wasn't enough time. And deer season and bird season and all that conflicted, and fall's so busy with work. I mean, that's like the busiest time of the year. You're trying to wrap up all these jobs, and
They've had all summer to think about it, and now they want to do it in
You got-
October.
you got that right. Yeah. Yeah. I love everything about deer hunting, and I always have my whole life. And, my mother used to tell me I was overboard, but as I got older, she saw that that's what, drove me. So,
And you have other hobbies as well. I mean, you got your hounds for the cats, and you're a big fisherman.
my wife loves to fish, Nancy. Yeah, I mean, she's like avid fisherman, and in fact, it's tough for me to invite somebody else along because she wants to fish with me every day.
Yeah.
So, all you guys out there that keep asking me to go fishing, that's why I can't fit a day in, because there aren't any. She wants to be there every day. She loves to fish. So we fish together a lot, and we get a place on Moosehead, and we spend a lot of time up there in the spring and in summer on Moosehead. And of course, we had that camp in Chapman for 32 years, and on the Spencer Road. And when I sold that, she fought me tooth and nail on selling it, and she said the only way I'm going to give in is if we buy a place on the lake. So then we found that place on Moosehead. Built that new camp.
Beautiful.
Yeah, love it over there.
And you're now involved in the True North
there's me and 6 other fellas, and some of the guys that were, with Big Woods Bucks years ago with us, and they wanted to start up a group, so we started this True North channel, and it's going great.
And you guys have been talking about some things that are pertinent to outdoorsmen and hunters in general, such as Sunday hunting, the ATV,
taking
new,
out the
new
dams,
regulations.
all
I
kinds
mean,
of stuff.
I mean, what's your thoughts on Sunday hunting, first of all?
This is my number one thought on Sunday hunting in Maine. So nowadays, you got so many sports in high schools that a kid has almost no time to himself anymore. Okay? All these sports consume his time. And Saturdays seem to be game days. So how's a kid going to learn how to hunt? And there's a lot of kids that don't have a chance to go because of this. Because Saturday, they can't get up and go turkey hunting because they got to be at baseball practice or t-ball practice. Or what I see it with my own grandkids. They've got all these sports that's consumed them during these seasons. So we can't, as adults, we can't even take them out and teach them.
Yeah.
So Sunday, and plus if they can go, it gives the kid 2 days, okay? Because they only have weekends. And like I said, everywhere I hunt the country, now we are the only state, because Massachusetts just passed it.
I thought it was 2 states. Is it now just us?
Just us. Mass just passed it. So it's legal now in Mass. So Maine's the only state in the country now we can't hunt Sundays. And I think there's lots of ways we could do it.
It just doesn't seem to have any support. I mean, I just read the report from the state on their referendum and interviews, and they talked to all kinds of people from what the report says.
Yeah.
And nobody's into it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no majority.
I'm shocked by the number of organizations that are against it that I would have thought
should be for
promote it.
Yeah.
Maine Guides Association. I mean, I when I was working every day, and I was in an industry way back, worked 6 days a week.
Right.
Man, I'd have loved some Sunday hunting.
Yeah. We all would.
And now with grandson.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you got a game on Saturday. Ah, man.
Yeah. Because
Sunday we can just talk about it. All we do is talk about it.
And you can relate having grandkids. For me to get 1 day a week to spend with my grandkids and take them hunting, that's huge. I mean, I look forward to that the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to find out that a T-ball game took my time away, so.
Yeah, and you hate to steal that from them too, because the peer pressure of that.
Even if we eased into Sunday hunting and it was for kids only, okay? So you had guidance of an adult and one gun, and you bring a kid, whether it's turkey hunting or deer hunting or whatever.
Selfishly, I don't mind having Sundays off because it makes our season longer duration.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have 6 days a week times 10. We get a 60-day season for waterfowl. So they can go, 6 days a week. We can go 10 weeks for each zone.
Right.
And then
most other states do also, though, with Sundays.
It kind of works out for us, and it's just because that's been our lifestyle. We've never been able to hunt on Sunday, so we're just used to that.
Yeah, I've heard too from a lot of wives that they always vote against Sunday hunting because they figure my husband would be in the woods 7 days a week. I'd never see him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that you guys deal with on your True North is solar panels taking over. I mean, it's an issue for
taking away our farms.
I came up 95 last night through Gray, and I've driven that 1,000 times. And it used to be full of deer. The twilight night, it's nothing but solar panels.
Yeah.
Now,
sad.
who thought that was a good idea?
We've got all these commercial buildings with flat roofs and everything else that they could go on.
How about
And-
the PFAS land?
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't put a solar panel. Oh, it's
Well,
not
that's
fit.
the only-
It's
that's
not
the only-
fit to grow them.
My personal opinion on solar farms, I don't like them.
No.
I could have got into them in the construction field. You know, they had the big promotion on them with the 30% kickback from the state and all that, and I could
It's
have.
funny money. It's always been
Yeah,
funny money.
And I despise them so much. I said I'm not gonna.
Don't want to be part of that.
No, I don't want
No, I'm
to
not
do
taking- I'm
something
not-
that
no.
I don't believe in.
No.
And that's just the way I am. But
If the federal subsidies were out of that picture, there wouldn't be half of
there wouldn't be any. Just like windmills, they can't sustain themselves.
them. They're already worn out.
Yeah, and I know guys that actually work there, engineers that have told me if it weren't for government subsidies, the windmills wouldn't even keep going now.
Europe's already hauled
No,
them all down.
certainly
They're
not.
pulling
Yeah,
them
yeah.
down. Denmark, Sweden, they're gone.
They're
already
dumping
pulling
them in
down.
Wyoming because all of the carbon in them, this is all contaminated material in these solar panels and windmills. So it's going to come back and haunt our future generations someday.
What's the lodge?
The lodge tag?
Yeah, for a moose, right?
Well, luckily we beat that one.
Yeah.
You know, we did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did, because what was happening was there was this one outfitter somewhere up in northern Maine, and he was basically hoarding the lodge tags through other people. And if you had let's say a 3-bedroom house or something, and in the woods or whatever, he'd say, apply for a lodge tag. I'll give you $10,000 for it, right?
Wow.
So all these people were applying and getting these lodge tags, because once you're on the list, I guess you get one every year, and and they were selling it to $10,000 to these outfitters, and certain outfitters were ending up with 20 or 30 of them. Okay. And they were selling them for $30,000 to these out-of-state hunters for a moose hunt.
Wow.
Yeah, making huge money, and there was no lodge there. So I think now the new rules, there has to be a commercial kitchen, something like that.
Yep.
And there's a lot of other rules. So you got to be an active lodge,
Right.
and you got to be a Maine guide.
Which
And-
is what it was intended for, right?
exactly. That's what
Makes
it was
sense.
intended for, 100%.
Makes sense to me.
So it's better for all the Maine guides, all the small guys. That's what it was for, to help the small guys that, you know, were having a hard time. So they gave them these lodge tags.
The whole moose thing just keeps changing
Ah,
all the
It
time
does.
anyway, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, with the ticks, you know, that's been a struggle. But I think the ticks are like a cycle.
I hope so.
Yeah. So don't we. But a lot of them.
Well, it just blows my mind that 70 or 80% of our calf crop dies every year.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sustain.
Yeah, they end up anemic
Yeah.
because there's so many ticks on a small animal. They can't handle that amount of blood loss, and they end up anemic. The older, once they reach like 2 years old, you know, it doesn't seem to bother them.
Handle it.
Yeah, they can handle it. Big bulls, whatever.
I was talking to the moose biologist not too long ago about people should not be afraid to shoot a calf in the fall if you've got a tag, because that animal is probably not going to make it through the winter.
Wow.
And the animal in the fall is 400 pounds
Yeah.
and pretty tasty. And come May, it'll be 200 pounds and dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
How do you want to die, to a bullet or to winter ticks? I mean, it's not a good choice. It's
Yeah,
awful.
there's-
I hope it is a
there-
cycle.
You know, like Lee Cantor, he's doing a lot of, you know, a lot of people agree and disagree with what they're doing, but he's doing a lot of research in other states where they've had moose problems with ticks, and Quebec as well. And I think Quebec actually comes down and helps them with the helicopter catching them and all that stuff. So I think working together around the country, you know, it's helped the moose population. It seems to be coming back slowly.
I hope so.
Yeah. Our deer population's real good. I mean, we had record all-time tag this year of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had a lot of deer now.
You had a decent winter. Winter was okay.
Yeah,
mean,
this
it was-
winter was good.
yeah.
We actually had less snow up north
Yeah.
than we did down. We had
And
more snow down here
And
than
you
they did
didn't
up
have
north.
that hard snowpack. You know,
Right.
light fluffy snow.
Yeah, we did. No crust.
20 years ago, we certainly wouldn't have imagined a deer harvest of 50,000. You know, back in the
No.
days,
Oh,
back in the
God,
days, it was 30 was a good year.
Oh,
That was a great
big,
year.
Big
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deer. are
But
thick
one
right
thing
now.
I will say is Jackman this year tagged around 326 deer
Yeah.
total. I don't know if they were all bucks, but I think there was only 16 over 200 pounds. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember back in the day when,
All 200 plus.
yeah, 60, 70 of them were
Yeah.
200 pounds.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. The mountains haven't really changed much. You know, it's more clear cutting now, but there's plenty of feed, and I found plenty of big deer this year. I actually, after the season was over, me and Lanny rode around for a couple of days, and we found 5 bucks that we figured were over 220, 230, maybe 250. We found 5 big bucks that made it through the season. So
They're just smart.
yeah, smart deer, and sometimes they're in those pockets where nobody is. Just got to look a little harder. I just like traveling around and hunting different landscapes, and you know, like Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, up in that country. That's the only place you can kill 300-pound deer.
Yeah.
You know, you want to kill a 300-pound deer in Maine, you probably won't kill one your whole life.
Right.
You know, and you can go up there, and every 3 or 4 years I'll kill one that's close to 300. I've killed 2 over 300 dressed.
Wow.
They
You
got
know.
100-pound raccoons out there.
Yeah, they
I
do.
mean, that they got plenty to eat.
You see them on camera,
Man.
this big around.
God.
Yeah, bears up there. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
up in
Oh, yeah.
you know, Alberta and Saskatchewan, they bait them up there, and they're 400 or 500 pounds.
That's a huge bear.
Yeah, it is a big bear.
You have to hunt with a guide when you're up there. Is
You
that
have
one of the
to.
provinces where you
do.
have to?
You have to. In Saskatchewan, you have to hunt in the provincial forest. So the farmland, which is really the best deer hunting, but that's for, you know, residents only. And we're not a non-resident in Canada. You're an alien.
That's right.
So, you know, most people don't consider themselves an alien, but when you go to Canada, you're an alien.
Well, we treat them the same when they come down here. You know, a Canadian
true.
comes down here,
Yeah.
we treat them as aliens.
Aliens,
I always
yeah.
thought that was odd, but
Yeah,
whatever.
but I love going to Canada. That's
Yeah.
it's good. You have, you know, you have to sit on and stand up there, but you're gonna see bucks that you ain't gonna see around here.
No.
I've shot some monsters up there over the years. My dad has too. That's been an annual trip for me and Dad our whole life. We've almost 30 something years. Yeah, I was in my mid 20s, so about 35 years we've been going to Saskatchewan and Alberta together, and Ontario, Manitoba. We've switched it up, and
He puts his coat on when he goes there.
yeah. Well, one of the things that we've always hunted out of up there is a heater bodysuit, and it's like a giant sleeping bag
Yeah.
with 2 legs on it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
slide your rifle in there, and you zip yourself up in that thing and sit on stand all day at, you know, 0.
And the wind never blows.
The wind blows nonstop. Yeah. I killed a buck. In Alberta that dressed 318, my heaviest buck I ever killed. It was 22 below 0 that morning.
Oh my God.
And I didn't, if he hadn't come out, I didn't think I could sit another minute. I was so cold. I didn't bring enough clothes that year.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it to be that cold. And it was cold. It was
Wow.
3rd week of the season. We went up there, 22 below. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That
That's
deer had frost crystals on
Yeah.
his face and his ears and everything. Yeah.
Oh, sounds like fun to me.
Have you seen the guy that does those the taxidermy with the ice crystals and
ice
crystals,
stuff?
yeah.
Have you seen that? I just, saw
Yeah, I
that
just
recently.
posted that on my channel.
Maybe that's where I saw it.
Yeah. I said I got to have one of those mounts now.
Sure, right, because that's how you saw it.
Yeah.
You know
Nancy's like, "Oh, great,
Yeah,
another
right.
deer mount." She doesn't mind though. She loves all my mounts in the house. You know,
Oh, I'll bet she does.
you
she
must.
does
Oh,
really.
does she?
Oh yeah,
Lucky man.
yeah. She's got her elk. She's got a 6x6 in the
Beautiful.
kitchen. That's
Nice.
the only one allowed in the kitchen is her out. So that's in the kitchen.
I love those mounts of
Yeah.
6x6 elk. They're beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I love
I'd
them.
have one in my kitchen too if I ever killed one that big.
We come out to Wyoming. And,
Yeah. I'd never killed anything bigger than a spike, but it's as tasty as anything I've ever shot.
Elk meat to me is the best wild game
It's
I've ever had.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Love it.
Got a big animal that eats grass. That's cool.
And kind of elk season really changed everything for me hunting elk, because now I travel out west. It's 2 weeks I'm gone, and I really got to work hard before I leave. It's 7 days a week, and then it's catch up when I get home. You know how that goes, right?
Yeah.
Because I got another trip coming in 2 or
Yeah.
3 weeks. So,
Yeah.
and I just love to elk hunt probably almost as much as I do tracking bucks.
You ever use horses out there?
I do. I use horses all the time.
Nice.
I had a neighbor out west. His name was Donnie Rogers, and he passed away two or 3 years ago now. He was in his 80s. And he had 65 horses. He was
Wow.
about 3 miles from my cabin, and he rented them. And I could call Donnie on the phone and say, "Hey, Donnie, this Rick, I'm coming out next Wednesday. Could I get 4 horses all saddled with one pack horse at, this trailhead or that trailhead or wherever?" And I'd basically, look at the map or on my Onyx, and I'd plan out a trip. So we'd do a loop.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we did one, we'd do a great big loop, and we'd come back to that trailhead. So he'd say, "Yes, sir, I'll meet you there,
Wow.
9 a.m." And he'd roll in with that horse trailer, horses all saddled,
Yeah.
ready to roll, 9 a.m. sharp every single time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and boy, I miss him a lot, because now I have to call this guy in Afton. You know what Afton is? It's way over on the Idaho border.
Yeah.
And it's a 4-hour ride for him to bring me horses.
Yeah, it's a long
So
way.
it's
Yo.
what used to cost me $75 for a delivery. Now it's $600
Yeah.
for 4 horses,
Yeah,
just for delivery.
right.
Yeah.
The horses is the cheap part. I mean, $75 a day for a horse per horse. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a lot of fun out west over the years riding horses. And I love doing that, packing
Beautiful.
horses and everything. Yeah. Do you ride horses out there, Brad?
No, I just always romanticized that would be the way I would want to hunt them.
Oh, yeah, it's
You
nothing
know,
like it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I still have a friend in Idaho that has horses, and
Yeah,
I just live vicariously through his stories.
yeah. My buddy Barry Luce there, the logger from Maine, he's a very good horseman, and I got to give credit to him, because he taught me a lot about riding horses out west and packing, and
Mhm.
because a mountain horse is way different than a
Yeah.
riding
Right.
horse
Saddle
around
horse
here.
here,
Way
yeah. Yeah.
way different. And he taught me a lot.
When I went to college in Missoula, Montana, they had a course on how to pack a horse.
Yes,
You know,
Ah.
it was,
Yeah.
I took the photography course, but
That's,
some of my friends.
that's
took
stuff you
that.
dream about in high school as a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
You know.
I had a high school teacher named George Millay from Bodenham. You know, the Malays down there.
Malaysia.
He was my geometry teacher, and he'd come into class first whenever class started, and I asked him, "Hey, Mr. Millay, how was the teal hunting in Marameeting Bay Saturday or something?" The whole period he would talk about duck hunting. He'd go, "Damn you, Alan! You got me talking about ducks again." I love that man. What a great guy. He was a big duck hunter.
Well, thanks for spending time with us today,
Yeah,
man. Talking about
I appreciate it.
all throughout North
It's
America.
fun to be on the podcast with you, because I listened to you my entire life sitting in an excavator.
Right.
We all do.
Yeah. First thing in the morning, Tomo.
Yeah. Well, this is a new venture, but we're
Yeah.
having fun doing it, and love catching up with you
Awesome.
and
Hope you have
talking.
me back again.
You know it. Oh yeah.
Let's do a show on hound hunting.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
We could easily.
And thanks for promoting Maine hunting and the Maine lifestyle. And I mean, that's what
Yeah. I think, standing up for how we grew up and what we believe in is what it's all about, and pass it on.
Good luck with Maine moose.
What I
kids.
always say on our podcast is, remember, folks, shoot straight.
Ah, you got to end with that. You know it. You know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quack.
Just take him right there. Shoot him right behind the shoulder. He's kind of quartering away. Perfect shot. Didn't even know we were there. He jacked 5 rounds out of that gun. He had lever action. Never fired a shot. And I looked at him like that.
just kept jacking.
Yeah, and he thought he fired every shot. I said, you just jacked every shot on the ground. He goes, no, I fired at him. I go, you never pulled the trigger. That was the worst buck fever I'd ever seen in my life right there.
I've heard of that.